Song choice is really good. So thanks for being here today, guys. I'm excited we'll have some other people straggling. This is going to be a.
Oh, no, that's for you to keep there.
Oh,
That's coming around for the side.
So this is going to be it's going to be an interactive session, and so we as a leadership team and what feedback we've heard from the ALC, just agents in general, quite honestly, is the more we can create opportunities to do inside of the sessions or build out that system so that we're taking education and leaning and moving towards action. And so we're hopeful today that we can leave with some reviews for you guys, some referrals for you guys, and maybe some repeat business. So I'm going to introduce your instructing crew here today. Some of them you may or may not know. We're going to kick things off with Alex Ribb. Alex is the Director of Operations for the Socher team. Socher team closes about $40 to $50 million a year each year for the last 3 years and over 150 transactions a year. And that's all flowing through this man in his mind. And yeah,
A little bit.
yeah,
It's a little bit and a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So Alex is going to be taking us through reviews, right? And how to build in the appropriate time to ask for reviews, following up to get reviews, and then a little bit on leveraging those things, those reviews for business. And then we're going to kick it over to Jeff Wang. So Jeff Wang has been in real estate since 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2018. How would you close last year?
10-5.
10-5. So Jeff is a part of the Dan Malloy team, and he has done that thing that team agents will find themselves doing, and as they get into their third and fourth year, which is generating a lot of his own business and getting a lot of referrals. And so I think 76% of your total business was referral business. That's $7.5 million. It's a little over $200,000 in gross commission income that friends, family, past clients, coworkers, colleagues all just said, yeah, Jeff should get that, right? Because he's a wonderful human being. Now, he does have
Grateful.
he's very grateful. He does have some tips and tricks and things that we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to get to talk about something that I'm incredibly passionate about, which is repeat business. And so you've all likely heard me talk about the fact that 88% of clients, anywhere from 88 to 92% of clients in any given year would say that they would work with their realtor again. 12% do, right? So we're going to talk about how to add value in the 7 to 9 years between transaction needs for an average client and what framework we want to approach that with. So because we have a small group and we're all going to be working together today, I would love to have everyone go around the room. Just quickly, who you are, how long you've been in the business, and what you want to get out of today. Help us as instructors understand what makes this a really valuable session for you today. So we'll start up front.
Hi, I'm Amanda Hill. I'm part of the SME group. I've had my license for about 1.5 years. And today we have a referral and review process. The SME group last year, 90% of our clients were referrals, repeats, and friends and family. So we really are looking for ways to +1 what we're doing. So that's what we have.
Hi, I'm Star. I'm with First Source and GM Title. They see me at events or on emails. I don't have a real estate license, but that's okay. I like long walks on the beach. But I'm here just to learn more about reviews and what it takes to get a good review, when to ask for one, and what those should look like.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Melinda Jackson, and I'm about 8 weeks in. I'm a brand new realtor, and I am here to just try and absorb as much as I possibly can, and just let's be a real estate.
Yeah, I love that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Winfield. I'm at the Referrals office. Been a licensed agent about 7 years. Been with this office the whole time I've been here. I am looking to set up a more steady process. Most of my business is through friends, family, and referrals, but I don't have like a formal process, and I want to get better at it.
All right, I'm John Murchison. I've been here with Keller Williams going on 10 years. I've actually been licensed since 2004. Really just here to get some tips, some tricks from the pros on what I can do or what I can apply into my business to help it get to the next level. Just pretty much what I'm here, take in what I can take in.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Etter, and I've been a realtor for 3.5 years here with Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. And I can't even think of a deal that I've done that I didn't know the person or it wasn't referred. So that's like my 100% of my business is people I know. I really don't want to work with anyone I don't know. And but it's strange. I think I asked one client for a review and my daughter helped me put a nice little, like their picture and the review there. And then I never did anything with it. Like I never printed it. I never sent it out. I never did anything with it.
Yeah.
So that tells you that
Yep.
about me.
All right. Well, I think that, so some of what we're gonna hear today is, and everybody in this room, even only a couple months in, there's some things that you do naturally well, right? So there's some things that you're all doing at a high level because of who you are at a default, right? You might be the type of person who has a big sphere or that is, has relationships that are memorable. And then people think of you when they think of real estate, right? And that generates business, and that's great. We have a principle. One of our 6 personal perspectives is it's actually the third one. It's move from E to P, right? Raise your hand if you've heard that expression before. Okay, so that is moving from what to what? What's the E? What's the to purposeful, right? And so your ability to have 100% referral-based business in just 3.5 years may very well be entrepreneurial. And what you're doing is you're being purposeful about how do I take those people who already know, like, and trust me and get them to convince strangers that I'm the right person with reviews, right? And so as you sit here today, right, give yourself grace and understand that you are good at some stuff and you're going to see these guys' processes, right? And what they do. And you're going to say, oh, I do that, right? And what I want you to not think is like, oh, I do that, I'm good, right? Because the market that we're moving into, and you're going to hear me continue to talk about this for about 36 more months, right, is going to be one that cannot be left to chance, right? The opportunity in the next 36 months as we move through a shifting market, all market share changes hands during shifts, right? And so, if you're thinking like, oh man, I got in this business at the wrong time, no, you got it in the perfect time, right? Because there's going to be more up for grabs and there's going to be more opportunity in the next 3 years than there has been in the last 10. So understand and highlight what you do naturally well, and then look for the system, right? That is gonna, what is the next step? What are the 5 things that I do when X happens to secure a referral, secure a review, to ensure that no one ever thinks of anybody else as their realtor? They see me in that role, right? So we're going to start with Alex, and he's going to take us through his content here. You all have it in your packets. I apologize. Not only did I get back at a late hour last night, Carrie's out today, Julia is downstairs holding down the fort. So I put together the packets and I put them together in the wrong order. So if you ever want to know why something's wrong around here, it's usually because of me. And this is a perfect example. So you all have that content. You have room for notes, right? And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Alex Rip.
Thank you, Mike. All right, so we'll get started on reviews. I actually had up in my mind a way I was going to start, and I thought of a better way, so I'm going to use that. When we're talking about reviews, it's always important to ask for, ask for the review, but if you don't understand the why behind it, then like, why are you, what's the point in asking, right? So I don't have a specific answer, but I just want to hear from the group. Why do we ask for reviews? What is the purpose of a review? What does a review do for you in your business? And again, I don't have an answer. I'm just wondering, like, if you're gonna ask for your reviews, why are we doing it? Like, what is the purpose? Yeah.
I think it helps to build up credibility because most people, when they're looking for someone to work with, the first thing they do is Google and look at reviews. And it helps to draw more people to you, I think, when they're Googling.
Okay, that's a good answer. Credibility. Anyone else? Yeah.
I think it helps promote a human aspect or a human interest aspect of who that person is. And gives them a personal touch before they start working with an agent or whoever it may be.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
I think it also gives you an idea of how you're doing and what you can do better
Mhm.
or tweak or change.
Okay. Anyone else? Cool. All very good answers. Oh, yeah.
I think I'll just say that like, I can't think of anything that doesn't have a review now,
Mhm.
right? So it's actually, it would seem strange if I Googled someone or something, like if you Googled a restaurant that you were gonna eat at, or you were gonna purchase a product, and there were no reviews, like that would stand out. It almost feels as though it's like table stakes. To not only have reviews, but have good ones, and a lot of good ones, right?
All right. So with that, I think it's really important to understand not only the importance of asking for reviews, but why you're asking for them. If you don't understand why you're asking for reviews, then it kind of, then you shouldn't be asking for them in the first place, probably. But you should have reviews set up. Most people here said Google. Reviews aren't specific to Google. That's probably the #1 place people search, their search engine. They do a lot of other things besides search, but that's how they started. So Google is definitely one place that you want to ask for reviews. Where else might people be looking for you specifically for reviews of your services?
Zillow.
Zillow.
Realtor.com.
Where, Realtor? You said, yeah, so Zillow, Realtor, Google,
Facebook.
Facebook. Anywhere else?
Homes.com.
Yeah, so think about that when you're asking people for reviews. Where do you want them to leave their review? Because most likely they're not going to leave reviews in 5 different places, and you want people, if they're going to leave your review, going to the most popular place where other people are going to be going to leave your review. So most likely Google. If you can get, what's your #2 then? I guess is it Facebook? Is it Zillow? Is it Realtor? But in the past, we would ask people to leave us reviews on Google and Facebook, and Google, Facebook, and Zillow was the third. But it's very unlikely people are going to go to 3 different places and leave you a review, because most of the time they don't even leave you one. So when we're talking about reviews, I wanted to, this is how it's going to start. Who here in the room has ever left a review for a product or a service or a company, good or bad? Raise your hand. Okay, about half, more than half the room. So,
Surveys, does a survey count as a review?
a survey?
Yeah. Not really.
I would say no, probably, because it's not like public, I guess.
Okay, well, I don't do it.
Yeah. Raise your hand if the review was good that you left. Okay, and raise your hand if you've left a bad review. Okay, about the same. Other than you've only left good reviews.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
I don't think I've ever left a review.
I
Yeah.
just planned on never
That's
going
good. I
back.
don't think I have.
Today could be the day.
I don't know. I don't think-
You can leave
So-
your review.
So the reason I ask that is because if you're asking people to leave your review, but you've never left a review yourself, it's kind of hard to put yourself in a position. It's almost not to be confrontational, but a little hypocritical, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, so if you're not leaving reviews for people that do well, I mean, you can leave bad reviews too, but people want good reviews. If you're not leaving reviews yourself, then it's, in my opinion, hard to ask people to leave your review. So just think about that when you're asking people for reviews. When you left, for those of you who left a review online, was it because you wanted to out of the goodness of your own heart, or were you asked to leave a review?
Was asked.
Passed?
Passed.
Okay, because you wanted to? Okay.
Wanted to.
Wanted to, okay. All right, so about 50-50, it seems like. But people, for the most part, in my opinion, my experience at least, aren't going to leave you a review if you don't at least ask them. People don't think to leave you a review, they get the keys and they're like, all right, got the house or sold the house. We're good, thanks. But if you don't ask them, the chances of them actually leaving you a review are slim to none for the most part. You might get it here and there, but not like you would if you built it into part of your system. So as part of as the transaction coordinator for the Searcher team for 5 years, now the director of operations, a lot of my role was about building out our systems and processes. As Mike said, we saw about 150 homes every year, so we had to be very consistent in how we did things. So in my email templates that I have from contract to close, we ask 2 or 3 times throughout the process at least for a review. So think about that as you're kind of building out your systems and processes. When are you asking for a review, and how are you asking for a review? We would always ask. We found that. Sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit.
No, you're great. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So when it comes to when you're asking for a review, we always ask before closing. We ask starting 2 weeks before closing in the same email as for buyers changing utilities. So it's like, hey, please, call gas and electric company to change, your account into your name for closing date. And also, if you could, please leave us a review, right? Because again, the closer you get to closing, the more that happens. You're trying to coordinate final walkthroughs and keys and utilities, and someone took a stereo and things happen. So if you can get the review further away from closing but still in the transaction, the chances of you getting a review are higher because there's less of a chance that things are going to go wrong.
Now, everybody in the room, what are the 3 times in a transaction that your client, as a buyer, write down a buyer and seller on your page right now. And then below, like buyer on one side, seller on the other, write down the 3 times that you think that they're the most excited. Right? So you guys are realtors and Alex and I aren't. So go ahead and tell us, what do you think? For the buyer, what do you think the 3 most exciting moments in the transaction? You're going to give the buyer some piece of news. What call are you most excited to make?
Make it an accepted offer.
Accepted offer.
Mhm.
Right, John? Closing.
Before there, that all the little things that could have gone wrong have not gone wrong. Like
Yeah.
ROC is clean and the appraisal came back and.
Clear to
Yeah.
close is
Yeah.
probably in
clear
there, right?
close.
High points are
Under contract.
congratulations, you're under contract. Congratulations, you have the clear to close, right? And then your client says, hell's that mean? It says it means we're done, right? And then congratulations, you're a homeowner, right? So if you think about where are they most excited and worried about the least, right? And so it's going to be those 3 points. And Alex pointed out, right? At closing, they're coordinating with movers, they're turning on utilities, all of a sudden they realize that they have to pay taxes and water, and they're like, oh my God, so it's like, that is gonna be, they're gonna be most distracted then, and they're gonna be most excited, right? So unless, if anybody's dropping off keys, right? If you meet people for keys, have an iPad, have them fill out the review on the iPad when you hand them the keys. Hey, if you real could just put, right? And they're going to be 10 out of 10. You're always going to get a 5-star review. Nobody's going to stand there with you watching them give you 3 stars, right? If they did, you let me know. I'll follow up. But I think that because you said you're asking for it multiple times,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And that's really powerful as well, because how many times do we get something and we say, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then it's only when we get reminded that we're like, I will do that, right?
For sure.
So that's great. And if you think about it, so what about for your seller? What are those?
It's the same thing, really. List the property, clear to close and closing.
I will say, as far as systems and processes goes, there's a lot of overlap between buyers and sellers. Obviously, there's things that change, but there's a lot, that overlaps. So it's kind of like a Venn diagram, like buyers, sellers, what's in the middle. Ask for the review at the high points under contract. Once you get through inspections, once you get through the appraisal, period close, closing, ask until they leave you a review, basically. So I'm gonna follow my script here so I don't get off topic. So when are you asking? Before or after closing? Always ask before. If they still haven't left you a review, before closing, ask after closing, but if you ask enough times and ask nicely and in different ways, people respond, as we know, in different ways. Some people are call people, some people are text people or email people, so you have to ask in different ways, right? How many times are you asking? As we just discussed, probably at least 3, the high points of the transaction, unless they leave you a review after the first time that you've asked, then you don't have to worry about it more than once. So how are you asking? Like I just said, ask them in person when you're with them. Put in your email templates. Doesn't have to be as structured or as consistent. Like you can, just be like, hey, be very casually, hey, could you leave me a review? Like, hey, congrats, we just got through the appraisal. Do you mind leaving me a quick review? Just make it casual, make it fun, make it light. Email, text, phone call, just depends really on the person and how they're going to best respond. I will say that probably, like Mike said, like if you hand them an iPad, it's going to be easier. Same thing with online reviews. They're online, so they need a link, right? So like email or text are probably the best formats because they can just click the link, or you can text them the link to your review page. But that's always going to be the best way rather than having to go like find you on Google or Zillow or Realtor. So send them the link directly when you're asking them. You can ask them in person or over the phone, but then also follow up with a text or email. Any questions so far? Also, if I'm moving too fast, let me know.
You're not moving too fast, but I'm moving really slowly. So how do you, so I really don't know any of this.
Yeah.
So do you have to pay for these Google sites? Do you have to pay to be on this realtor site?
Yeah, so it's gonna
Do you
get,
have to, and then how do you set up these links?
yeah, no, it's all free as far as I know. So you can create a free Zillow page. Google's called Google My Business. If that's free, that's how like whenever you go to look up like a restaurant, you just set it up. So it's called, write it down, Google My Business. I'm pretty sure. I'm
Yeah,
not sure,
it is. Yeah, Google My Business and
Create a Zillow page.
Realtor.com.
Yeah.
I mean.
Facebook. Do you have a business Facebook page or just a personal Facebook page?
I have a really sad personal, I have a Facebook page, but I have a really sad business page.
Okay. Well, at least if you don't have a business page, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure you can only leave reviews on Facebook business pages. So if you want reviews on Facebook, you'd have to set up a separate Facebook business page to get reviews. Here we go.
So you've already got, so if somebody Googles you.
How many stars does she have? Any 5-star?
Probably not.
You've already got this set up, and so I could be the first one to write a recommendation, right? But no, I mean, so it's that simple. You just, and let's see where this takes you, and you want to get it all as close to, being able to click submit, right? So
When you send it to them.
in this
Yeah.
example, you would just grab this hyperlink and send it there and be like, hey, can you leave me a recommendation on my realtor.com?
If this is the place.
If
that you
this
want
is the
it.
place that you want it to go, and there is no right, wrong, or indifferent. I think the point that you want to take from Alex's is it's like any other system, right? If you're going to track and update and promote your business through realtor.com, you want every single review on realtor.com, right? If you can do it through Zillow, you're going to be a Zillow Premier agent. You want them all to be on Zillow, right? Because that's where they are. I think that the most powerful one for most businesses is Google, right? And it's just, you set up that process, Google My Business, right? And all you're doing is you're putting your business, you're creating a business account with Google that is just, they're going to mail a postcard here. And then you're going to pick it up at the office, you're going to scan the QR code, and it's going to activate a Google My Business page where people can put 5-star reviews in. Or the Rocky River office for that, for our West Siders. The most important thing is, don't send them multiple places, send them all single place, but think about your business, right? If you are generating business from your sphere of influence and you connect with people on Facebook, do it on Facebook. right? If you are getting internet leads through pay-per-click advertising, do it on Google, right? Because if you call me, right, and start to sell me something, and I'm at my computer, I'm just gonna Google you, right? I'm gonna Google your phone number, I'm gonna Google whatever name you gave me, the company you gave me, and I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole while I'm on the phone. And guess what? If somebody clicks your, pay-per-click ad and then you call them within 5 minutes, they're still on their computer. So you know they're gonna Google you, right? So keep those things in mind. Where is your business now? Or where do you want it to be? Where do you want it to come from? And then what's the most appropriate source? And then everything goes in there. Because having 10 reviews on Facebook and 10 on Google and 10 on Zillow and 10 on Realtor.com is exponentially, or having all 40 in one place is exponentially more impactful in your business.
I agree.
That's where do you send yours?
Google mainly. We ask Google and Facebook now. Zillow just kind of, there was a time like a year or two ago where things were getting weird with Zillow, I think. And so, people don't really go to Zillow to look for, Google's number one, obviously. I mean, if you can only choose one, like Mike said, I would choose Google for sure.
Yep.
I'm gonna move a little faster. If you have questions, just write them down, save them the answer. I want to give Chet and Mike a chance to talk for sure. So create a process for asking for reviews. Know who, what, when, where, and how you're going to ask for reviews. The other big thing is who, right? Like we always just think about asking our clients for reviews. You can ask the title company. You can ask the lender. You can ask the co-broke. You can ask the roof guy who repaired the roof. You can ask the plumber. Like anyone that's involved in the transaction, you should be asking for reviews. That's how you get more reviews from people, and that's how you build your network. People don't want to just see reviews from clients, So just think about that. Like who are you asking, and don't just think of the client necessarily. Think about everyone involved in each transaction. Automate the tasks. So we've automated texts and emails that go out, like I said, to our clients 2 weeks before closing, 1 week before closing, and 5 days before closing. But as Mike said, that should also be at the high points of the transaction, not necessarily timed specific like that. That's just how we do it. Ask early and often. Once the deal closes, like I said, the chances people are going to write a review drastically decreases. When making the ask, target satisfied customers. Obviously, not every experience is going to be amazing as much as we want it to be. Doesn't mean you shouldn't ask for a review, but it means maybe it's like ask in a different way, or again, ask at the high point, and then you don't have to worry about it.
And get the review before the deal falls apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think you can remove a review. Like if you're the person that left it, I don't think you can do that.
No.
Yeah. Personalize the ask, so just make sure when it is in like text and email form, that you're not just saying leave me a review, like dear, hey, make it personal. Explain why reviews are important, as we talked about earlier, understanding the why of why you're asking for the review and the importance of it and the credibility and how it creates that personal connection. Provide a template for reviews. So that's another good one. As people are leaving you reviews and you start building up your reviews, and we'll get to in a minute, there's different websites you can use that can, you can also share out like your Google link, but you want to show the people you're asking reviews, previous reviews that have been left for you, so they have an idea of what they should be writing, and the credibility factor, so that people can see how many reviews you've already gotten, and how they should be writing their review, essentially. So they have like a template for themselves of what to write. Engage with your existing reviews. So if people left you a review, don't just leave them high and dry. Keep them going, and that's where we get into the repeat business. I'm sure Mike will touch on that. Offer an incentive. So here's Starbucks gift card for leaving us a review, something like that. Or not just Starbucks, but make it personal. So if they have a favorite restaurant or a favorite store or whatever, like make it so that they'll want to leave you a review to get the thing that they want. Send review request emails at the right time. We talked about that, and follow up on your request. Again, if they haven't left it yet, just keep asking. Scroll down a little bit for me. I'm almost done. So tools. So these are the two that I found. We kind of use Blip a little bit. It's like gives you data and insight on the reviews you've left. And again, it's a place where you can send people the link to the reviews they've already received so they can see. But not on you.
No, it is, it's just
Okay.
open them on a different
Gotcha.
thing.
So just kind of like review, not software, but platforms, basically. This is Review Wave. We use Blip. I'm not too familiar with Review Wave. I just kind of found it. You can send your reviews through these platforms if you'd like.
And what they'll do is they'll redirect it into all the other, all places,
Exactly, yeah, so, you know, it'll be like one link where someone, if they leave a review, it'll go to Facebook and Google, so you're not asking the people you're asking to leave reviews to do it one by one. This will say, okay, if I'm leaving a review for Mike, it's gonna go automatically to Google and Facebook. I don't have to put the review in separately. Does that make sense? So I just have to, so I recommend Blip. It's great. It gives you all kinds of data and insight on, like, if you've sent someone a request to review you, you know, the data's right up here.
Did they open it?
Yeah, did they open it? You know, all that kind of stuff. So,
That's like.
yeah. And then lastly, I think, review audits, exactly. So, cross-reference your deals that close each week and month and ask for a review from those that haven't left you one yet. It's really easy for people to slip through the cracks and not leave you a review. But if you're going back, you know, let's say you had a deal closed last Friday and they haven't left you a review yet, each week, just make it part of your system and your process to go back and say, hey, I know we closed last week. I hope the house is great and the move is going well. You didn't leave me a review yet. Would you mind just leaving me a quick review? Here's the link. So doing like audits every week, every month of past clients of yours that close that haven't left you a review yet.
And for those of you who are like, man, you know, it's that old Chinese proverb of the best time to plant a tree was 50 years ago, and the second best time is today. If you've closed transactions in the last 3.5, 10 years, like, you can go back to any client. And I think the really valuable thing here that I love that you included, Alex, so important to explain why you're asking for the review, right? Especially to people that you might have closed a deal with last year. It's real simple. Hey, Scott, listen, I'm trying to increase the number of reviews on my page so that I can help more people with their home ownership journey. You and I worked together and I thought it was a great interaction. Did you? Yeah, of course I did. Right? Would you mind leaving me a review so other people know what I'm capable of? Right? And then it's not like you're just asking for a review. They're helping you build their business, right? And as sales professionals, right? And to Alex's point that he started with around not being critical, who are the people that you've interacted with? The inspector, the title company, the co-broke, right? Or maybe you have a client who is in a B2C sales, right? That you could leave a review for, right? Maybe it's your plumber or anybody that you could just go, you know, trade reviews with to get to 10 or 15, right?
And it's like, I'll leave you a review if you leave me a review. Just make it
Yeah, or if you have, I mean, if it's your client's somebody that's like, yeah, hey, you know, they own a candle shop, right? Have you reviewed that candle shop? If you haven't, it might be an easy way to earn a review.
Last thing I'll say, and then who's going next, Jeff? Or-
Yeah.
Okay. Is you can make it fun, make it a game. Like, you know, go back if you don't have a lot of reviews and you're now trying to put reviews as part of your systems and part of your processes. Is go back to all your clients who haven't left your review yet. Say, hey, I'm really working on getting online reviews, like Mike said. And I'm going to give out $100 gift card to one person, Amazon gift card to one person that leaves me a review, and kind of, again, like incentivize it. You could do it that way too. So again, if you have any questions from me specifically at the end, I'll be happy to answer. And other than that, I'll hand it off to Jeff.
And if you have got a review, it's a lead gen call to them and say how they're doing, how's their house,
Yeah,
they fall apart.
yeah. It might lead to a referral.
Oh,
Segue.
it's almost like we designed it that way. Yeah, and guys, I would encourage you, wherever you do business or wherever you like to do business, right? If it's Avon Lake or Beechwood, Shaker Heights, right? Whatever it is that you're like, yeah, I want to be the #1 realtor in Valley, right?
I am already, thank you.
Give her a review.
Yeah, I'm gonna, Google wherever it is, just Google, Valley View Realtors or, Lorraine County Realtors or what, whatever, Amherst Realtors. You will be shocked at how low, right now, other than the Young team, who has like 950 5-star reviews, and they pay to be the top search in every, like, I don't know, they're probably the top search in Cincinnati too, but as much as they're doing right now. But the point is, like, you'll see and you're like, oh, shoot, like the average realtor that comes up on this search has 8 reviews. Or like the #1 realtor that comes up on this search, other than the Young team with 921, has 37, right? And you think about that, like, do you know 40 people that would review you? Because that, 97% of all people in a real estate transaction last year used the internet, right? Only 3% didn't. They were all from the silent generation. But keep that in mind that people are starting, and it's almost 50% start their search online before they use a realtor. But they're going and they're saying, I want to live in Shaker Heights. Shaker Heights real estate, Shaker Heights realtor, Shaker Heights this, right? And then if you've got the reviews, you're gonna organically pop to the top, right? And get opportunities. Somebody say, oh yeah, I found you on whatever. They're never gonna find you if you're not there first. So I think the difference between not doing this and doing this at a really high level is
Being set up to do.
I mean, it's just, it's not that much. Like, it is really not that much. So that's my last, that's the last thing I'll say about that.
Let's give referrals.
Let's get referrals, man.
So Mike had shared earlier, so I was licensed the end of 2018. 2019, I worked part-time in real estate with my other sales job. And then at the end of 2019, I said, I'm gonna jump in. So 2020 is the first full-time year. And then what happened in the beginning of 2020? Pandemic. So I had to get in right away with referrals and reaching out to my sphere of influence and finding out who they know is making a move and how could I possibly get in there. So I had to jump in on this right away. So it's pretty near and dear to me because I've done these things and I know that they work. And this is kind of one of those things where with reviews as well, if you do the work to find referrals, you actually do the work, you cannot fail at this. And that's what's I think is really exciting about what we do is that if you put the effort in, it will pay off. So we talked about this a little bit with Alex, but this is kind of stupid. Why do you want more referrals? Why?
You want more business.
You want more business. What else?
You want more business from similar people, like-minded people.
Yes.
Yeah.
People in your sphere, people who are friends of your friends. It's more fun that way. I think I found you don't have to compete as hard. If you get a name from someone else gives me your name. And I just had one recently. Oh, if John says that you're the guy, then you're my guy. I won't even talk to anyone else. And who wants to have to compete if you don't have to? Like, let's just get it done easier. So there's the buckets I put these in. There's either you ask for a referral or someone shares your name with someone else. Let's start with someone else sharing your name. Those are somewhat hard to control. I can't control if you're going to give my name out to someone else. But what I can do is center my actions around finding ways to make more people know me, like me, or trust me. Once you kind of look through everything with that lens, I think it starts to help build consistency where you're going to give yourself a better shot at those people giving your name out. So know, like, and trust. Okay, we've heard that before. But the other factor that I think plays in just as much is being at the top of people's minds. If you're not at the top of their mind, I've had it recently where there have been people who know, like, and trust me and didn't refer me, and I found that out, they told me, my aunt just bought a house. I should have thought, I don't know why I didn't think of you. And you're just thinking like, okay, and that stings. If you haven't had it happen yet, it does sting when that happens. And you kind of lost that business because you haven't been top of mind. So when I say top of mind, does everyone get what that means? Like, what would that mean to someone?
Somebody's, you're like the first person that they think of.
Yeah. Exactly. Tip of their tongue kind of thing. And I think for that, consistent messaging to your sphere of influence is what keeps you to the top of mind. So again, if you kind of look at everything through know, like, and trust and stay top of mind, I think you're gonna do better. So
Can I jump in on that? Because this is another thing that I'm really passionate about, because no matter if you've been in the business for a decade or, you're, excited to be, working towards 90 days in the business, it's really important to remember, right, that it's your job to let people know that you're in real estate, right? And the strongest correlation towards your success in real estate is how many people think of you when they think of real estate, right? So how many people in the room got licensed when they were 18 years old and real estate was your first job, right? Oh, nobody. Okay, good. So although Jeff looks 18, that's not the case for him either.
it's a good moisturizer.
Yeah. Next class is skincare. So what I want you to understand is the way that the human brain works, right? Humans are not emotional creatures. We are not logical creatures, right? People, we're big brains and we're, these bipedal and binocular vision, all that. No, we are pattern-based creatures, which means as soon as we understand a pattern, our brain, which is an energy hog, right? It is less than 5% of our body weight and over 20% of the calories that we use are used by our brain. So your brain is constantly looking for shortcuts, right? And so what it does is, as soon as it identifies a pattern, it sticks to that pattern. The longer that it sticks to that pattern, a deeper and deeper groove is worn into your brain. Synapses that fire together, wire together, right? So, Maria, you were in the broadcast industry for 35 years, right?
Correct.
So, in everybody has a 35-year-old groove in their brain that when they think about broadcast news, they think about Maria Eder. And your job as a realtor is to disrupt that pattern and wear a new groove in the brain so that when they think about real estate, they think about Maria Eder, right? And that's why people don't refer you, even though you were their realtor, even though it's your family member, and they're like, shit, Heidi, I forgot you were in real estate, right? Not their fault, your fault, right? You have not replicated that pattern. And the only way to do it is with constant messaging, right? Which he's talking about, and through various platforms. That's why we teach a 36-touch program. Because even for agents like Dan Malloy, who have been crushing real estate for close to 20 years now, right? Every 15 days, somebody in his sphere, somebody in his network forgets that he works in real estate, right? And the same thing is happening to you. And when you do it at a really high level, you wear a new pattern in their brain and you allow another part of the brain to take over, which is the reticular activating system, right? The RAS. So has anybody ever shopped for a new car? Right? What was the new car you were looking for?
Maybe the one I just bought.
Which was?
A Lexus.
A Lexus, right?
Mhm.
Now, did you walk on the lot and buy, or did you kind of think about it for a little while?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
Shopped around.
Shopped around. So
Yeah.
in the time period between maybe thinking about getting this Lexus and pulling the trigger on the Lexus, how many did you see on the road?
A million.
Yep. Because, and you didn't see any, there were not more Lexuses did not put a fleet of cars on the road to make you think more about buying a Lexus. But because you had fixated on that, the reticular activating system is part of your brain. I think it's like right back here. What it does is it's constantly scanning. And it's saying, it's like looking for, you want to buy a Lexus. So your brain will convince you to buy a Lexus. And so it's scanning, it's, man, there are a lot of Lexuses out there. There are a lot, I should buy a Lexus, man. Oh man, that guy driving that Lexus is a good looking guy. I need to get a Lexus, right? And so that's what happens. You want that to happen with your clients for you in real estate, right? And that's why some people will send you 10 referrals in a year, and some people will never send you a referral, right? The person who's sending you 10, they're not doing anything particularly differently. You've just worn a new groove in their brain and hit that turned on that reticular activating system, so that when they hear real estate, Jeff, right? Thinking about, empty nest, Jeff, right? And then you start to expand that. So it's not, I promise you, nobody is sitting around saying, God, I wish Scott would post less about real estate, right? No one's saying that. No one's noticing that, right? I mean, my feed is entirely everybody's posts about real estate, and I couldn't tell you what any of your last posts about real estate are. I promise you that somebody else in your sphere doesn't know either, but you want to keep chipping away that you're in real estate. Facebook post, email, oh, doing an event, business card, right? Bang, 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 bang. Every 15 days, everybody that you want to generate referral business from needs to be reminded that you're not in the broadcast news anymore, right? You're not in whatever your last career was. You're a realtor. Because the more people that think about you when they think about real estate, the more business you do. Sorry, I really nerd out on that.
Were
No,
you,
but I
were
think
you
it's
gonna get into
important.
psychology?
I was just
Jeff?
gonna say all that.
No, I think it's really because like the reason that people don't tell people is because they're nervous that they're gonna bother people, right? I mean, if you call me every day and ask me if I know anyone who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I'm gonna be annoyed, right? But if you remind me that you are a professional that can help people navigate a very complex transaction related to somebody's largest financial asset, then you make me look good, right? And so Jeff's got some great examples of here of how to identify the right people to ask and how to ask.
Yeah, and I think so, like Amanda and Melinda, so being new in this, like the first thing I thought was, does everyone I know that I'm in real estate now? Like, are you sure that they know? And if you, well, either way, if you're not sure. First, I send them all, everyone I know who I have an email address of, here's a write-up of what I'm doing. I'm so excited, I'm passionate about this, I can't wait to make this next step. And then I called them and told them. And if they didn't answer, I left a message, hey, it's Jeff, I'm just reaching out. Just want to let you know that I've got into real estate, I'm so excited. If you think of anyone crosses your plate, I'd love for you to send them my way, thank you. Then I texted them. So now this wasn't all like in one day, I mean, I would spread it out, but just be sure that everyone you know knows, because you can't assume that they do, because a lot of people don't, and that's how it was for me when I first started. Especially those who aren't on social media too. Those are, like I wrote in here, and these have been like a gold mine for me. My parents' friends, like, I'm like the kid to them, so they think it's great that I can call. I think older people in general like getting phone calls, because that's the way they work. I'm so glad you called. So they would call, I'd call and let them know, and oh, it's Jim and Debbie's son calling. That's just so cool. So they love that, and they're not really so much on social media. So so the more people, what I love about this is that every time you meet someone new, this is now someone who they're kind of starting your referral journey with you, because they don't know you, you just met them. So now you're going to try to push them down the funnel of how next can they like me more, or no, how can they trust me more, and then how can I stay top of mind with them. So I think it's just fun every time you meet someone new that this starts that whole process. So that was my next question. How can you get more people to like you? That kind of sounds like I want more people to like me. Like
Dude, I've been trying to find a way. It's the reason I'm here at this class, is for this very second.
So I just say, I mean, I wrote here, be fun. I mean, that's, set up fun events. I do them all the time. It's like, if you're a runner, set up a running club and start to grow with people. If you're a golfer, particular golfing, do things that you like to do, because I think that passion and that excitement and that fun comes through, and then it's just, they'll enjoy being around you more. In the beginning, when I first started, I did this thing with coffees where It wasn't like my best friends, but it was like friends of friends. I would take them out for coffee. And what I thought was so interesting about it was the script for it was this. It's pretty profound. Hey, Mike, we should get a coffee sometime.
Yeah, love that.
Every time you say that to someone, they say that every time. So then I go, all right, I'll set it up. I'll look at my calendar and I'll send you a couple of dates. And I follow back up with them. And it would never be the same week. Because I think that's overwhelming when you say, let's get a coffee and you say, sure, okay, how about tomorrow? No, that's a
No,
little bit.
I mean, like, I already mentally got my day prepared.
But if I told him like next Thursday at 9,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, it's next week, I don't even care.
Yeah.
So I would set up my goal was 3 coffee dates a week
That's
with,
the first, that's like I'm transmitting. So I
Oh,
can't
it
do that,
is?
yeah.
well, Friday. So I would try to set up 3 a week, 3 coffees a week with like friends of friends. So they weren't your best friends, but they were people you kind of knew. And my script or thought when I would go into that is always, how can I help them? I didn't even ask about real estate. They would always ask me then about real estate, how's it going? And then I could slide in would you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or invest this next year at all? And that's at the end of the conversation. We've already had coffee. I've learned about their work. How can I help them? Are they hiring anyone? Can I help you find anyone? What kind of person are you looking for right now? I felt like that was a know, like, and trust event that was so easy to do. Okay, so moving.
Can I talk about the fun events, right?
Yeah.
What do people talk about while they're at work?
Work.
No, they talk about fun. What do people talk about when they get together after work and they go to the bar and they have a drink?
Work.
Work. People talk about fun stuff while they're at work and they talk about work while they're doing fun stuff. So when, your goal is to go on appointments, right? And talk to people about real estate. But from a lead generation, that's once somebody's like raised their hand and said, yes, I want to buy, sell, or invest. Your lead generation of referrals is do fun stuff. Because when people get together and they're doing fun stuff, you're not there at the beer tasting talking about how good the beer is, right? You're there bitching about work, right? Pardon my language, but that's what people are doing, right? And if you ask somebody how work's going, they're invariably going to ask you how work's going, and you're going to say, I work in real estate, I work on referrals, and you've got a great script in here, and I'm not going to spoil it because I think it's brilliant.
I was just kind of throwing that together at the end.
Yeah.
Thank you for adding that. I do think those types of things, and again, this is all under the referral bucket. So this is again, work comes up, you're doing something fun. They know you definitely now. They like you a little bit more. Now they trust you a little bit more because you've been with them socially, and they can tell from your interaction that you are a professional in real estate too. So that helps with the trust. So a little bit more on top of mind, then we'll talk about actually asking for referrals. I would assume most people are using social media. I've felt like by far and away that's the biggest factor in being top of mind that's worked for me. I've now got to the point, thankfully, from a leverage standpoint, I have someone post for me 3 days a week on Instagram, and it feeds to Facebook. Our thought in the research, I don't know if you have anything different else, was 3 was a minimum per week. I think people typically recommend more. But I would stay on that because there are so many times when I go to an event and someone will say, oh, I saw you post that house on 123 Main Street. Calls to people, texts to people are also huge. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but I rarely ever come out and just ask, like, do you have a referral? It's always something that I'm trying to give. So I'll text people, hey, I just met a great new handyman. Would you know of any work that they may need? I said I'd share his name with some people. I just met a great plumber. I just met a whatever, but I would text people that in my sphere, and they always respond in some way, like, oh, hey, thanks, yeah, send me his contact info. And then I'll say, okay, thank you. Well, so I'll throw something at the end of that next text, like, hey, I don't know if you saw that the market's softened, but it's really good. But it's really helped out a lot. So you've got to stay top of mind, or else you'll never be referred. So continue to think of how your process is to stay top of mind. Oh, one other thing on that, Command Smart Post or Smart Plans. Are you familiar with what those are in Command? I think that at a minimum, I do the neighborhood once a month valuation that gets sent out. I think that is, it's just
Monthly neighborhood
monthly
nurture.
neighborhood nurture.
Just an email that says, hey, here's everything that went down in your neighborhood last month. Picture of you, your local neighborhood expert.
And to that point, I mean, the more things you can automate that you don't have to actively, or proactively be doing, like
Yeah.
auto plans, like auto emails, but staying top of mind,
Yeah.
automated social media posts or pre-generated social
Yep.
media posts that you can just share out, like, it doesn't always have to be you creating everything every single time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are, think about yourself like a movie star. You're the talent, right?
Yeah, you're the expert.
You show up and say the lines. You don't write the script, right? You don't mess with lighting, right? You're not worried about production costs. When you're working with a client, show up, you're the talent.
So those are all just ways to stay top of mind and be better or more known, liked, or trust. But what I wrote in here was, do not wait for these. I look at people sharing my name with others as like bonus, as like gravy, like that's just amazing to get to that point and see people are doing that. Where you can really affect the output is asking for referrals. And I mean, it really is a must-have practice. Calls, we've got, when you first came, we were talking about cold calling and how no one really likes to cold call. I mean, that is truly a fact. I've never made one cold call. I've made a lot of calls, but they're all in my sphere. So I don't think they're cold in any way. It may be a little awkward at first just because you haven't called someone in a while, but I went to a seminar. It's called Bold. I don't know, has anyone ever done Bold before? So Bold's amazing, and I hit it right at the right time when I first started, and on those first round of calls, I got 3 leads in that class when we had to like break out and actually make the calls. I called people, and there were people I would have never called, and I just stuck with the plan. And I think I would highly recommend doing that. There's a system called DTD2, which is calling 2 letters of the alphabet by each week. And if you can stay on that, if you just did that only, I mean, you would never fail in this business. I mean, you wouldn't, if you just did that, and that's only one aspect. Let me see. In those calls, when I have made those sphere calls, again, I've not even needed to ask for a referral. They would always naturally ask, how is real estate going? And then you say a little blurb about the market, depending on what time of year it was. It used to be, oh my gosh, that thing's crazy. And now it's, market's shifted a little bit. Buyers are getting a little bit more opportunity, and share something about what's new with real estate. I talked about text a little bit, again, leading with contribution. I've also found that giving people inside scoops gets responses almost every time. And what I mean is, in one of my scripts down here, I have something about, hey Mike, it's Jeff Wang. I know of this great double coming to market in Lakewood, lots of upside. Who do you know that might be considering jumping into the investment side?
Actually, I
You are? It's on Emerson.
yeah,
Yeah,
all right, let me know about it.
I'll look at it tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding either. Not kidding
All
either.
right, I'll start that. That one works.
Can you believe it? I mean, that's for real. Like, now that I own my own home, I'm like, well, now I should own an investment property, because why the hell not?
So I put some scripts in here, of just different ways to ask. I just shared that one a little bit.
And I just want to say, before he goes through these are fantastic. Like, these are some of the best scripts for referrals that I have seen. Usually, you're gonna get, you're gonna be taught the right to the point one, and it is awkward, and it is uncomfortable, and for the people who don't have a deeply worn groove in their brain that you're a realtor, it's confusing, right? And you're gonna feel it on the phone.
Yeah.
These other ones are brilliant.
And so some of these also, I would say, I'm not leading with this, but I might have led with the handyman guy I told you about, or something else that, hey, Mike, I often hear about things coming to market before they actually go on. would you want me to keep you posted on anything in particular? That works almost every time. Someone will always say, even if they're not super serious, yeah, we're always considering something, keep me posted. And then I've got to ask maybe another follow-up question, like what part of town, how much you want to spend, that kind of thing, but that often works well. Hey, Mike, great to catch up. Well, I've got you here. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the market's finally allowing buyers not to give up their firstborn. Would anyone come to mind that was looking last year that struck out or just didn't even want to try it?
Oh my gosh, what a great call. I mean, what a great script.
That one
Right.
right now is so timely with what's going on.
Yeah.
We finally are seeing some things.
Because no matter who it is, everybody wants to be a little bit smarter, right? And so many of these like that are designed around giving a little nugget, right? A little nugget of information that's gonna make them smarter. And that's the only reason that people open the monthly neighborhood nurture 2 weeks after they bought their house, because they wonder, well, what's my house worth? What else sold, right? They want to be that person in the know. And so when you come to them with that, do that a few times, people pick up your call every time.
Yeah, people like the inside scoop of stuff. I don't need to read all these to you. I'm sure you can
There's
read
another one that I really liked.
the takeaway one. That one's been working a lot lately.
I mean, that is.
I do that at like parties or like social events where I'd say like, we were talking about, because real estate, I feel like, as you know, in social situations, like people like talking about real estate. I used to be in a really cool job in healthcare and no one ever asked me once. And I really dealt with some like high-end stuff. And now it's like everyone wants to talk about real estate. And I would just be like, well, Mike, you guys, you would never leave your place, right?
Nah, I'm gonna die in that place.
All right, so that's the one response, or they'll say, "Oh, I
I'm
don't
never
know.
moving again.
I don't know, maybe, a lot of times they'll say, well, yeah, probably we would consider something.
I mean, your box is already still packed, so it
Yeah,
wouldn't be that hard.
yeah.
Been there one day,
If you're
yeah,
gonna
never
do
leave.
it now.
Imagine that double, you live
Yeah.
on top and rent the bottom.
We're talking.
The one about people, a lot of people in COVID have been needing like 2 home offices that I've found a lot of times. So that one has worked really well. Actually, these have all worked, like this is,
Where's the
Yes, it
one
comes out
that
my
you
mouth.
had?
Did you come up with all these, Jeff?
yeah, just straight yes.
I don't know, do you have an extra packet, by the way?
Yeah, and I think that like one of the pages, of course.
I'm missing part.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, it's me. We'll send it out as follow-up. It's my fault.
Sorry, I mean, I just finished at like 12:35.
Yeah, you're missing the middle
Oh.
page of these, of what's on the screen here. But man, there was one where you said,
I got that page.
Downsizing, takeaway.
Yeah, that's good.
where it was about like, I have a couple spots open to work with a few more.
Oh,
clients.
yeah,
Where is
I use
that?
it on the right to the point a lot.
Oh, we didn't.
Oh, yeah,
Take
I'm
on-
able to take on a few more clients.
Oh, yeah, that one's.
Yeah, that's the page you're missing.
Yeah, we're missing that
Yeah,
one.
yep. So I'll send a PDF out as follow, but
That's okay.
I love that.
Hey, Mike, what
Because-
about you?
That idea of like, hey, I'm able to take on a few more clients is such a sexy sales move because it creates the idea of scarcity. Right? And scarcity drives interest. So when you say like, hey, I've got spots for a few more clients, who do you know that needs the help of an expert, right? Then they're like, and what else is great about these is that they are not begged, right? When you're asking for referrals, ask for the specific referral. Who do you know that's bursting at the seams? Who do you know that wants to downsize? Who's the empty nester? Because then they have to think about an avatar, right? A prototype of a person. And then they go into the filing cabinet of the brain. Here I go, brain. Go to the filing cabinet of the brain, and they're like, well, who do I know with kids that have just graduated high school? Who's the empty nesters? Who just had kids? Who just got married? Who just did this? Who just did that? And then they find a specific person, right? And they give you that instead of who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. That'll work. You're just gonna have to dial 100 times, right? And then every time you call, you're gonna be asking that question, and then it's gonna be a little bit not cool.
And I feel like when you're making calls or texts or talking to people, that I always think about, one of my other notes in here is, always be researching the MLS and knowing what's out there. So that when I'm actually talking to someone, I have an idea of, okay, here's a 4-bedroom I'm thinking of, okay, here's a single family, or here's a first floor master cluster home, and then here's like a starter home. And I like think about those in my head so that if you have to pivot, because someone could say, no, actually I got, my niece is looking, she just needs a little starter house. Well, okay, then I thought to myself, all right, there's this one in Fairview Park and it's blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So to have a way to pivot, just because if nothing else, you're the expert, because just on the fly, you know of a house in Fairview Park that's for sale now. And so you're positioned again as the expert and a professional, and that goes to the trust part of knowing and trust that he knows what he's talking about. I wrote in here to always have or try to like have a guy for everything. Like, oh, I got a guy for that. Like that comment, because now people call me for anything having to do with the house. You have a good roofer, do you have a good whatever, mold guy, whatever it is. But keep that Rolodex kind of in your head or your phone of who those people are and constantly be sharing those. I think it's so hard to find good contractors right now. So if you find anyone in any specialty, anyone, if you just send it out, more than likely someone's going to, again, position you as a person who knows, who can be valuable to their finding a house. And then lastly, I would say, because all these things you're trying to do are create conversations and touches, and is to always have a story or an interesting house or something about real estate, about the market that you're gonna talk to people about, because we're always being asked, aren't we, like, what's new with the market or something, and how's real estate? I mean, have like a kind of a go-to line where it's, oh, let me tell you about this story I just had with this crazy close at this house on 123 Main Street. And then they're like intrigued because it's like they're getting like fun inside information on something that went down in this house that was crazy or something that, again, so that you're the expert and that you are.
Busy is a bad answer,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
How's everything going in real estate? Oh, busy.
It's the opposite of a few spots left.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And it's like, there's nothing sticky about that idea, you know what I mean? And if you've like got the crazy story, it doesn't even have to happen to you, right? Like, just before you leave today, get a crazy story from everybody else in the room about a deal where they went into the basement and, the person was always decorated for Halloween. You're like, what the hell? That's crazy. That can be your story. No one's gonna fact check you, right? But then it's like you get these sticky ideas that, oh my God, it comes around Halloween and they think about you because you had the person with the Halloween store in their basement. I should actually just make up stories for a living and sell them real estate.
We similarly were trying to avoid saying like the market is crazy
No.
as a response,
Yeah.
because that's
It's
not
not
helpful
crazy.
anyway.
It's not crazy. It's atypical, right? Which means there's a lot of opportunities that otherwise a lot of people wouldn't have, right? And a market is normalizing, right? Which I think that script around like, hey, listen, who do you know was trying to buy last year and just couldn't, right? Interest rates aren't up that much. 30-year average on interest rates is like 5.75%. So we're right at the 30-year average. I think it's actually 7.1%. And we're at the average since the 2000s. But the 30-year average, I mean, like interest rates have been as high as 17.4%. It's like no one is not buying because of interest rates. They're not buying as big of a house, right? Because of interest rates. There are very few people, right, who were considering buying 12 months ago who won't consider now. And what I'll tell you is that can be a limiting belief in your conversations, because most people, if they weren't buying 12 months ago, don't have a clue what interest rates were. They don't, because it never mattered to them. They couldn't remember it. They never knew that it got down to 2.75 because they never had a reason to know, right? So they're coming in now and you say like, oh yeah, 30-year average is 7%, and you're getting 5.5. They're like, damn, that's pretty good. It's all perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or anything on any of these scripts or what I would say in certain situations, reach out anytime.
The other thing that I'll say that Jeff touched on, that goes hand in hand with what any of you watched Mike do on Ignite a couple weeks ago with your database. Like you said, who likes coffee, who likes golf, who likes running. Knowing who those specific people are, you need to I mean, it's a whole nother class, watch Mike's database class from Ignite, but, you know, having tags and taking intricate notes on people's hobbies and interests so that when you do go to make that ask or call them and invite them to coffee, you know, intentionally, you know, who you're calling and for what purpose. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna talk, thank you very much, Jeff. That was awesome and a great segue as where I'm gonna start. I'm gonna hit on two things. One is gonna be about this idea of events, right? And you all have this content. This is hot off the presses from Mega Camp, right? So the KWRI leadership team interviewed over 100 different real estate professionals and put together a one-page document for every system or model that those individuals were using for their business, right? And so I went through that and we pulled out one that I thought was particularly relevant to this. Where I want to start is that idea that Jeff had around, can you have those markers? Around having a guy, right? Gotta have a guy. So there are four different stages in a real estate in the real estate process. Everybody you know that isn't homeless, right? You know, I know some of us may know some homeless people, but probably not the majority of your database. Think about everybody that you know is in one of four stages. SBSO: search, buy, sell, or own. Now, if I was in one of these four buckets, right? If I was going to search and buy or sell, how long am I really in that on average? Do you think? Okay, I mean, if I'm going to sell, I might take 30 days to get the house ready.
I see.
Might be on the market for 30 days, right? Well, we're moving sort of more back to, I mean, average time on market in Northeast Ohio is back above a moment. And then, it's 30 days to close, right? Same thing on the buy side, right? I got to get my stuff in order. I got to look, and then I got to get under contract. I got to stay under contract. So it's about 90 days. On average, how long someone own their home?
7 years?
More close to 5 now.
So if
Mine 26.
there's an anomaly in the last 24 months, right? Where a lot of people capitalized on lower interest rates, they capitalized on work from home, they capitalized on an increasing market. Nevertheless, in Northeast Ohio, it's about 9 years, right? So 90 days versus 3,287 days, assuming a couple of leap years in there. So this process that we are wholly and solely fixated on as a realtor is 2.7% of the total, right? They're searching and buying, or they're selling in a 90-day window, and that's when they're really valuable to us. And it's actually kind of neat because their average commission, it's actually 2.8 because I knocked off a decimal. And the average commission is 2.8. It's almost uncanny because these other 3,287 days, they're just owning the home. And we're not making any money off it, right? We're not getting paid commission. We're not doing the fun stuff like showing them houses, thinking about, well, we can take down this wall and open up the kitchen and do all this other stuff. They're just living, right? It's pretty boring for most of life, right? And then it gets exciting because you move. What I want you to do is reframe that if you can be the realtor for this, you're naturally going to be the realtor for that. You help them with everything related to their home, right? We don't have the opportunity now, but you will have the opportunity again in about 4 or 5 years to help people with refinancing, right? You can help people with home improvements. You can help people with home maintenance. you know, the guy, the plumber, the window person, the this, the that, the other thing, right? Because if every time they think about something that they have going on with their home, they think about you, then when it comes time to do something with that asset, they're gonna think about you as well, right? So this is a great way to get listings over the next rest of your career. And it's important, if you're not that guy, right? Jeff's kind of that guy, right? You have to be pushing into them, right? And he's that guy for people because he pushes into them. Hey, just found a great, I found the only handyman in Northeast Ohio who actually does what he says he's gonna do on time and under budget, right? Would you like to know who that is?
Yes.
Who's gonna say no to that? Yeah, right? Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
Give everybody that guy, right? So, you know, think about that, and then, right, to tie it full circle here, you're gonna give that person a review, and you're gonna ask them for a review, and you're gonna ask your clients to do the same, right? And you're gonna create that gratis in there. And you can do that with literally anything: lawn care, snow removal, window guy, roofing guy, you know, whatever it is. You're looking at me like you want to say something.
No,
Oh.
I think it's profound.
Yeah, yeah, because if we're just waiting to help people buy, sell, or invest in real estate, then that's commission breath, right? You see us coming. But if it's, and this is where, again, go back to that database class, you put people in your database, you put the date that they purchased their home, doesn't even have to be with you, right? You've got friends or family members, you pop onto that Cuyahoga County auditor's site, property search, drop in their name or drop in their address, see when the property transferred. Hey, Maria, you've been in your home for about 10 years now, right? Oh, no, it can't be that long. 26, about 26 years, right?
Yeah,
And you're like, no, it couldn't be that long. Oh, well, you know, it is 26. How the hell did you know that? You know, I don't know. I just, this weird memory in my mind, you know, when I was 10 years old that you bought that house.
Yeah.
Right? The point is, like, who gives a shit whether you sold them the house or not? Right? You care enough to say, hey, you've been there for about 26 years. Have you guys done improvements to that? Oh, you know, we added a 3 seasons room, or we did this,
We did.
you know. I think you've told me about it before. And so, you know, it's like, are you planning on doing anything else? It's like, yeah, we've been thinking about the second bath is just really dated. And it's like, oh, no way. Do you have somebody you work with, or would you mind if I referred somebody? I got a guy who is just tremendous. Boom, right? And now you've become, right, the person that they go to or have the potential to go to. And I mean, you could do that. Like I said, you can do that with anybody, right? I mean, don't do it with a stranger. That would be very weird. But like anybody that you know and you know they own their home, right? If you're working with people who are renting, how long are you in that lease for, right? Because remember, now we're going to go back to this. If this process takes 90 days, right? They probably need to make a decision about 180 days out. That they're like, yeah, you know what, maybe we'll buy, right? And they're gonna make that decision about 180 days out. They're gonna get serious about it when they're like, I want to renew this lease, right? So everything, I'm obsessive about the calendar, right? And if you can put things on your calendar, you will do them. And if you can understand the calendar of people's lives, right? Hey, you know, Jeff's got, you know, how old are your boys?
2, 4, and 6.
2, 4, and 6, right? So in 16 years, Jeff's gonna need a smaller house, right? Need a bigger house now, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's 16 years. That's a long play. I assume that he'll have his license still by then, so he won't need the services of a realtor. But just think about, who do you know who's, you know, expecting, recently married, this, that, or the other thing, right? And then you insert yourself into a relationship with them, or you take advantage of those life events to say, like, you know, like, are you guys gonna convert the home office into the nursery, or like, what's the plan for that? And then they're like, oh geez, I thought about it. You know, it's they call it a due date for a reason, right? You know, they gotta go. And so, you know, just leverage those life events. If you heard me talk about this in the database class, this is the really important thing, is that the average, this is 9 years, right? It's the average. Now, Maria and her husband stayed in their house for 26 years, which is 3 times the average. Which means that for them to be at 26 years, there are 3 people who have bought and sold 1 year, or, you know, sold, there are 4 people who have sold after 1 year versus 9. Would you like to know how to predict who's going to sell in 1 year? I would too, but you can't, right? So this is where being in constant relationship and adding constant value puts you in a position that when life events happen, you're there. Because life events always precede real estate events. Birth, death, marriage, divorce, promotion, and demotion are the only things that generate real estate transactions, or anything adjacent to those, right? Or those are the only reasons that people buy. No one, you know, with the last 24 months being a small exception, right? But birth, death, marriage, and divorce were happening in big ways. Promotion and demotion, work from home is work adjacent, right? So those things were driving that. There was just, I tell you what, without 2.5% interest rates over the last 24 months, I don't think we would have seen a material difference in transactions. That's my opinion. The only thing you wouldn't have seen is an army of refinances, right? You wouldn't have seen, you know, 22 million homes refinance, right? You would have still seen all those transactions take place. And it wouldn't have been nearly as sexy from a media standpoint. So the idea is you stay in relationship here, life happens, you're their realtor, right? And if you can be predictive, right? Who knows Chris Chasen, right? She's a realtor in the East Side office. She just closed earlier this month on like I think it was a 1.75 or maybe $2.3 million listing, right? Massive. She cultivated that listing for 18 months because she met the people and their kid was halfway through their junior year of high school, and they were going to consider selling at the end of high school. And so all she did was, you know, 6 months before, hey, I remember you guys saying that you were thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. Like, is that still on the table? If so, like, I'd love to interview to be your realtor, right? So if you know, that 9 years, like, yeah, like I don't know how long it was for them, but that life event is what drove that decision, right? It wasn't a hot market. It wasn't this, it's like, hey, you know, the kids away at school, we're going to go live on a boat or something. I don't know what you do with all that money, but you know, that's the thing. Like, so as you look at your people, right, in your database, your past clients, your future clients, your current clients, think about where their life events are. And I also gave, you know, we're coming into an economic recession, guys. So I would say there's got to be a tag, or at least use the section in your command database that tells you where people work. And then if you're like, man, I know a lot of people at Progressive and SwageLock and at Sherwin-Williams and at the clinic, make sure it's in there, because, and then set up your Google alerts for SwageLock, the Cleveland Clinic, etc. And if you ever see something come through that there are layoffs or downsizing or anything like that happening, reach out and be in a position to help, right? Because even if you know, you hope it's not the person that you know that was laid off or downsized. But if, you know, the Cleveland Clinic lays off 1,000 people, sure, they've got 50,000 employees or whatever. They lay off 1,000 people and you know somebody that works there, somebody that you know knows somebody that got laid off, and you could help. Right now, that's, you know, we need Jeff to write a better script than the one that I got for that. But just know, right, that this is real estate work, right? This is business ownership, right? Right. So, like, you know, Coca-Cola is not trying to sell you a Coca-Cola every day. They're trying to do what, you know, Jeff was talking about with respect to like being top of mind, right? They just want you to think about Coke when you think about having a soda, right? You just want to be the person that people think about. And that's the only way to get repeat business. There's no timing the market. There's no timing people's lives. It is a constancy of relationship, right? And the people who bought or sold 6 months, 12 months, 18 months ago, like their relationships are just as valuable, maybe not statistically, but man, if you're the person who's there when a significant life event happens that protects their real estate asset or protects them, that's going to earn you a lot of referrals, right? And really great review. And oh, there it is. So I pulled this one pager because I did not mean to bring the room down with like death and economic recession, right? But same thing. Like, troll Facebook for wedding announcements, baby on the way. Those pictures that people, or those what are they called? The gender reveal parties, right? Like those things. Like, I would maybe roll my eyes at it. Don't, and that's like a limiting belief for me is like, geez, like I don't care that people's kids are going back to school. I joke with all my buddies. I'm like, it's like if I see a picture of your kid holding a chalkboard describing like what their favorite cereal is, like you'll never hear the end of it from me. But, those are all the way up until like little Johnny just went off to college, right? Ding. Empty nest. So what you do is you take out that script, that empty nest script, you call that person and you say, blah, 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 blah. Who do you know who just had, all their kids take off to college and they're looking to downsize. And they're like, me? What do you, is that a joke? And you're like, no, why? And he was like, yeah, we just dropped little Johnny off at East West State. And you're like, get out of here. And it's like, that's uncanny. I guess, yeah, geez, he's 18 now. Right. And then boom, you're in a conversation with that person. Right. So, that's how all these things tie together. The fun stuff, right? Let's talk about fun, is this event stuff. Right. So if you don't like calling your sphere, you don't like talking to people on the phone because you feel greasy asking for business, grow an event. Right. Because then you're going to be like, oh man, when I stop and I think about 36 touches, right? I got to send texts and emails and phone calls and direct mail. And that's a lot, It's like, yeah, well, or you could send out a piece of direct mail to everybody in your database saying, I'm going to have this event at this date. You could call everybody in your database and say, hey, did you get that piece of direct mail? If you don't get them on the phone, you could text them and say, hey, did you catch this? I just want to make sure you had the link to register if you're coming to our event. And then you email them to do the same thing. And then you email them a reminder that it's happening. Then you see them at the event, you talk to them about the event. And then immediately after the event, you call them and you thank them for being there. And then you post all over Facebook about the event and you tag them or you send them the pictures, right? 8 touches around one event, right? You do 4 events a year, you're done. And all you want to do is just do whatever the hell you like to do. Join the running club, start the hiking club, have beer tasting, wine tasting, build your own pizza night, sip and paint. Doesn't matter. If you enjoy it, invite people, make it free, ask them to bring a friend, right? Ask them to bring a specific friend. Hey, bring somebody that's new to Cleveland, right? Maybe they bought, maybe they didn't, who cares, right? Ask somebody who's new to Cleveland. Bring somebody who's, older, younger, whatever. This is I'm going to get into my rant about the diversity of databases here in a minute, but just do the event, right? And make it something that you like to do. And then seed the event with like 5 or 6 of your friends, right? And, beer, wine, pizza, whatever. It literally doesn't matter, but if it's fun, then people will be glad that they were there. Create a little FOMO, and 8 of the 9 contacts you would need to make on a quarterly basis can happen around that event, right? Then you do it consistently, and all you're doing is after one event, you start planning for the next event, right? And occasionally sell some real estate when you're not having all this fun. and, do the digital check-in, there's a bunch of ways to church this up. And you see this person has built like a, I don't know, $1 billion business, and all they do is sell events. Or all they do is do events, right? And their entire touch plan is based on it. So client events are the events that you host, life events are the things that happen to them, and then doing things in the community. So I think it's Jeff, and then if you guys know Maggie Huber, who's out of the Rocky River office, she does every Saturday, I like to shout out Saturday, where she'll go to a small business in a community where she wants to sell a lot of houses, and she'll post a bunch of information about it. She'll go there, she'll interview the owner, she'll, put up a picture of the floral arrangement this florist made, whatever it is, right? Every week, right? So it's like, man, Saturdays for realtors must be crazy. Not for Maggie, because she's just going somewhere and having pizza and beer and calling it marketing, right? And so you can do those things, and it's cool to be specific about where you want to sell, right? There's a really great guy at Family Reunion who used to be a FedEx driver, right? And he gave this example of like, when he was a FedEx driver, he had a route. Did the same route every day. So when he became a realtor, he just built a route. He did the same route every day. Like, oh, I want to sell in these communities, so I'll just go to these communities and I'll knock on doors, or I'll advertise, or I'll do this, that, or the other thing. He said there were these other, if you don't have a route as a FedEx driver, you end up on what are called swing shifts, which is like, oh, I just got to pick up Jeff's route because Jeff's sick. Well, you don't exactly know everything. When you have a route, you do that route. Like, we've had the same FedEx guy for 7 years here, right? And so it's like, everybody, and everybody knows you, and it's like cheers and all that. When you're a swing guy, it's like, hey, where the hell's Jamie? Right? It's like, where's our guy? And since his thing was like, most realtors operate like swing shift people, right? They take any opportunity anywhere, and they want to be experts in certain markets. I'm like, look, I'm not telling you to not take advantage of opportunities, but would you rather sell everything in 2 square miles from where you live, or would you rather live in Avon Lake and sell in Mentor, right? We know the answer to that question, but are we building out a business and taking advantage of the relationships during this stage, or just hoping that we can enter into them in this stage? Questions, comments, concerns, smart remarks, physical threats, taking them all. John, you got up right when I said physical threats, man. I don't know. I don't know what's about to go down.
Oh, boy.
Thanks for being here, man. What other questions? And what else? Just any. Let's do some ahas. And we have a small enough group, so everyone's going to share one aha. And I'll share mine. Is that my aha is from the I have two. One is about the referral scripts. Like, I thought those were really great. Just like the items. Yeah, that's really good. And then the aggregators. I didn't know. I shouldn't be surprised that such a thing exists, but
There's a thing for everything.
yeah, right. There's a thing for everything. But I think that's really interesting as well. Just as like, because I put up the challenge, like, know where you want to build your business, and if you don't, I'll just do that. Build it everywhere at once. Who cares, right? It's a little bit more of an investment, but it leaves options open. So yeah, those are my two ahas. Scott, let's start with you.
Wait, I never really thought about it when you were talking about to try and target life events. Get top of mind on somebody, if they're coming up on a life event. I just really, get a lot of that, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, and you as you said, your business is friends and family, right?
Right.
And so like, you've got access to all the intimate information,
Mhm.
right? Or at least, could access it, with the nosy aunt or whomever. Great. That's great.
I like the idea of planning events.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to have some fun, connect with people, and potentially sell some homes.
Yeah.
Or list
Yeah.
some homes. So I like that.
Brilliant.
I agree with him back there with the idea of keeping up with people's lives and the aspect of being, like what you said, 2 steps ahead instead of 1 step behind.
Mhm.
Thinking ahead of the game if someone's gonna be downsizing or buying a new house because they're having a child. So it's good to always think in the back of your mind, on social media, or wherever it may be, just keep up with people.
All of the script stuff is amazing, but like the two that are sticking out to me as a cause is who was looking last year that struck out.
Yeah.
I love that. And then I'm able to take on a few more clients. I love that. Cause I get into the rut, we post a lot on social media. So every time I see someone, they're like, you look so busy, you're killing it. I'm like, oh, I could take on some more people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I like
yeah.
that phrase is really gonna help me.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Me?
Yeah. She's thinking about redoing that second path.
Yeah. Do you know how long we've been trying to do that? Years.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a zillion times. We just never pulled the trigger on doing it. I don't know. I suppose my thing would be, I don't ask for a review, I guess I'm never gonna get one.
Don't ask, you don't care.
And,
Closed mouths don't get fed.
yeah, I mean, some of these things I think I do anyway. I just don't do anything in a systematic way.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of this stuff.
So here's a great thing, like we all already have systems, right? And that might be our natural state. It might be our entrepreneurial state. You already have a system, right? You're not calling it a system because it's not written down.
Mhm.
So write it down, right? And then once you have that system, anytime you want to do anything new, if you had a 10-step process to move somebody from buyer to bought, right? And it includes all that jazz around pre-approvals and all that wonderful stuff. If you had that, and then it was like, I should do some more reviews. It's not about adding a step for reviews. It's about adding a sentence in the templated email that you send every time you tell somebody that they're under contract, pointing them to do the review, right? So I have a very strong system for taking somebody from not in real estate school and not licensed to handing off to a productivity coach, right? Since I've built that system, I've added 5 things in a Facebook group, a study session, a whole series of prep videos around mindset, constructing your database, a unique piece of follow-up if people don't pass their exam on the first time, right? And I didn't recreate the system. I just added a section to the congratulations on completing your courses. Now join this Facebook group, right? And in 5 days, like that Facebook group has 75 members, right? So where is it in your current system that you can just add a sentence to the templated email? And if you don't have a templated email, I will tell you that you do because you've sent somebody an email telling them that they were under contract before. So just take that, put blanks where the home address, the price point, the inspection date, all that stuff is, put it in a Word doc that you can copy and paste every time you get somebody under contract. And then just add a line with, hey, you're excited, I'm excited, now might be a good time to leave a review, right?
And here's a link to that.
And here's a link to the review, right? And you're sending them to the same spot every time, right? You can even write the review form. Be cheeky, I'm kidding. But so that's the important thing. Like you already have a system. And so the easiest way to, and here's the thing, it takes the anxiety out of it about like, oh, I gotta ask for this. No, you're sending an email congratulating them on getting under contract and giving them the opportunity to give you a review. Not asking for anything. If anything, they should be saying thank you to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of signing off thanks, you should sign off you're welcome. Yeah, no, don't do that.
You can be.
Yeah, yeah. Heidi, your takeaway?
I like the reminder about the events. I've done an event and it was just a really good way for me to get business and just easier reaching out to people, being like, hey, come to my fun event that I'm hosting rather than feeling like I'm calling them out of the blue for no reason. So it makes it easier reaching out to people. But my biggest aha that I need to work on is just the consistency in reaching out to my sphere. Like I reach out, but it's not structured at all. It's like a little bit here and there. And I could just get it set where it's more automated.
What event did you have, by the way?
I threw an event for past clients at my family's rock climbing gym, and I had a blast. I thought it was so much fun. It was just so
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Texting people, calling people like, hey, are you coming? Bring your friends or bring 2 other people that want to rock climb and just come and hang out and you can
Okay.
watch them
You need a
climb.
place to go to.
You know, trying to get them to bring other
Yeah.
people, not just the clients as well.
Right. And I would say, you know, I don't know if it's in here, but I definitely heard it just this week. And, you know, I obsess around data in the market because of my position. I would encourage you guys to do the same. So if you have a client event, you're doing a, you know, we're gonna do a beer tasting, or we're gonna do a rock climbing event or yoga in the park, bring paraphernalia, right? We don't do a single event as a market center where you're not walking away holding something, right? That is the information that either you took or, you know, has our logo on it. You know, you all work here. We still want, you know, that to be a consistent thing. So I would have some paraphernalia, you know, whatever, flyers, marketing for your next open house, who cares? And then I would take 5 minutes and I would educate everybody on what's happening in the market, right? Because then it's like, you know, hey, before we get started, I know, you know, you guys know me, friendly neighborhood realtor, so that we can actually enjoy the event tonight and I don't spend every moment between sips answering the question of what's going on in the real estate market. I just thought I'd kick things off with a quick update about what's going on in the real estate market. And then you say, here's what's happening, you know, housing, interest rates, you know, here's what you hear in the news, here's truth and reality, right? And then boom, now what's everybody gonna do for the rest of they're gonna talk about real estate, they're gonna feel smarter, they're gonna disagree with you, I don't care what you do, right? But everybody's got information now, right? So if you do the event, put the real estate up front, or it's like, hey, I'm going, you know, I bought, you know, whatever, 50 tickets to the Lake Erie Crushers, right? It only cost me $25 to get 50 tickets. And, you know, so like, and take everybody there. Well, you know, just have a trifold, like a little brochure or handout that's just about your business. Thanks for coming, pictures of the last client event, date of the next client event that people are going to take away with them, put in their cup holder in their car, right? And then you get that residual.
I assume we're doing trunk or treating again this fall.
I believe we are.
We invited all of our clients last year and we had 7 client families show up and it was free.
So
Like,
this
we
is
didn't have
this
to
is a cool
plan
thing. We
anything.
do about 1 event a quarter that should double as a client event for our agents, right? We haven't really got it down to a science to get like high activation, but that's it. Like we'll send out the marketing that is debranded. So it doesn't even say Keller Williams. So you put, you know, the Melanie Sweeney Group or Jeff Wang and Friends, right? Like whatever you want, put your name on the top, right? And now it's your event. We're gonna run it. Clam Bake is coming up at the end of September, right? You know, and this would be like this, you know, so it's like, you know, it's you know, food and booze and live music and all that stuff. And there's, you know, it's $60 for a ticket. So you probably don't want to like invite the person from your sphere that you see once every 2 years, right? That you went to high school with. But if somebody's given you a referral, right? Or you know, led to close business in any way, shape, or form, close business with you, identify the people who are you're going to top grade as like, these are my best referrals, right? Who's the person who's giving you 5 people? Bring them to the Clam Bake, right? Say, hey man, I bought a table worth of seats at the Clam Bake. I want you to be there. It's an awesome event. We're going to have a ton of fun. And I just, you know, it's just my way of saying thank you. What if they can't make it? It doesn't matter, man.
It's actually better.
It's like
You can ask to invite someone
it's
else.
like inviting your aunt in Utah who doesn't travel to your
Yeah.
wedding, still getting a gift, right? They still feels like you rewarded them and they'll still give you referrals. But like, so use the Clam Bake, use the trunk or treat. You know, what the hell, the summer cookout is another good one that people will bring clients to. So just, you know, do those things, right? Because those are bigger and more fun and more interesting with more people at them. And, you know, if you're trying to get into it, just, yeah, pick the Clam Bake and say, you know, I'm going to find 2 other people, right? I'm going to bring my significant other and I'm going to bring 2 other people that are, you know, I think are going to be great referral partners for my business. Or bring people that you think might make great realtors, right? Get them introduced to everybody. Get them used to my shitty jokes, right? You know, like, we didn't get a takeaway from you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I didn't know about Blip because I struggle with, I keep rotating like, okay, I sent him a link to do Google, then the next Close, I do this one's Zillow, this one's Facebook. Because I think all three have value. I think Zillow's the biggest real estate search place. Google's the biggest, because we know Google, and Facebook, I do a lot of things on Facebook. So will it do all three? Could you?
Yeah, you can set it up for all three. So one review goes to all three places. You just send like a unique link to the first one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's big. It's big, and I think, you know, again, like where you're gonna, and you can send reviews to all places, right? And do it Blip, right? And it's just as valuable.
Actually, you know what? It might be that it has links to all three. I don't know if it sends it to all three. I might have to check and get back to you on that. Yeah.
I'll completely hold you to it.
Okay.
Selling snake oil over
Yeah,
here,
it is.
my goodness.
Oh.
I think the
It's gonna help somewhere.
Yeah.
the piece of that you wanna keep in mind is who do you wanna do business with? Google is the most used search engine in the world. Maria, your flashlight's on.
It is?
Yeah.
Jeez, how do I turn it off?
Same way you turn it on.
I don't know how to get back to that page. I don't know how to get back to that page. Oh, who touched that?
I don't know. Who knows on that. Google's the most used search engine in the world, and people typically go there and they type in location real estate or location realtor, right? Somebody who is towards the bottom of the purchasing funnel or highly motivated is maybe you're less likely to get that highly motivated person into Google funnel, right? You can get midterm nurture, right? They might be 6 months out starting to think about it versus Facebook is going to get you people you already know and people that they know, right? So if you want to build a sphere and database-based business and you already have a strong network, that's a good path. Zillow is, people don't search Google for specific homes. They search Zillow for specific homes. And so if you want closer to the funnel, but more expensive and more competition, you go to the Zillow, right? And if you're like, hey, look, Mike at one point said you do business any way you can long enough, then you choose how to do, then you can do business any way you want, like then maybe it's all three at once. Any final remarks for the good of the order? Hearing none, I will thank you guys all for being here.